Action!
Region Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Raging Review podcast. Home of champions. Another championship for another Raging Cajuns program as the girls go over to Baton Rouge and take home a regional championship. And man, this was extra sweet. Not only because we won, of course, but the way it went down, of course, the trash talk between the fan bases. We'll do all that. We'll get into all that. First, what's up, Nick? How was the viewing experience from H-Town?
Yeah, I felt like I texted you guys a few times. I felt like I was going to throw up about 4 times during that game. But it was a lot of fun, and I can promise you I've got a softball coach in high school that lives right behind my house, and she was jacked up. She was excited for us. She's a big Raging Cajuns fan, so they didn't mind hearing me scream and yell inside the house from inside my house during the game.
How much did the guy sitting behind home plate make you just want to slap the ever-living piss out of him? And somebody tweeted, I think it was you that tweeted from the account, this guy's been quiet since the second inning, and I got a good chuckle out of that. And you never want to make it about one person, but you know how it tends to get personal with that fan base and that school and everything. You know, when the girl hits the home run earlier in the game or earlier in the day and she points at the ump and she doesn't get tossed, I got so angry, like irrationally angry. Irrationally angry. And then she gets tossed in the second game, and that started a dust up between the fans. But going up 6-0 and thinking we had it cashed in, and sometimes the girls look like they also had it cashed in, but I don't know. It was a range of emotions, roller coaster up and down.
Speaking of being up 6-0 and thought you had it cashed in, McNeese just lost 7-6 to Washington. Way to go, ladies. Way to have our backs there.
Now there's
6-0 in the top of the 7th, right?
Now there's the thing about something. You can host a super with an all-turf infield. Juno and Bobby were talking about that on the broadcast. So I don't know how that's going to work itself out. I don't know obviously I don't know all the details about all that, but they made the comment. So I'm not 100% sure we got to travel just yet. So
regardless,
if anybody in the space knows more about that, please chime in and give us the thoughts and the 411, as the kids said back in the 90s.
Well, let's go back to the guy behind the plate. Like, first of all, so we were told by a very reliable source, Jerry and I, that guy was kicked out, or not kicked out. He was told not to do the belt thing because he got complaints during the SEC tournament or whatever, some tournament they had at LSU.
Yeah.
So he was told not to do that, but he's allowed to do it in an NCAA regional tournament game and also climb onto the backstop at the end of the game when he didn't like a call that they made. People like that don't belong in sports. And look, if it was one of our fans, I would be saying the exact same thing. He does not belong in that stadium. If I were a fan of that team, I'd be pissed if I had to sit by him. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And somebody tried to justify, well, he acts like that for every game, and even if we're not playing, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. First of all, the belt that he hangs,
man. You are a grown-ass man.
That's a distraction to the pitcher. That's the same thing as shining a mirror or shining a laser. That's the same thing.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But what I mean, typical of what you expect from that crew, right?
That's who gravitate toward that program. I mean, that's just a fact. So anyway, Jerry, welcome to the show. Welcome to the fun. Look, I want to get all over TSAB as much as you guys do, but I really want to make it about the girls to get started, and I'm sure everybody else wants to talk about the game and the weekend. First and foremost, started out against Omaha. I was really impressed with their starting pitcher. She was hitting 69, 70. She had stuff, and we ended up nickel and diming her and 5-0 win to start the tournament, but we looked solid all the way around. And then the first game against LSU, one swing really changed that game. And we'll get into that. Sam was pretty solid. She only went 2 2/3, I think. She gave up that home run, and you can see her kind of unravel after that. But overall, it was a competitive game. Burzon, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know if they're pronouncing that properly, but Burzon was good in that game against us. And then the girl that came in and relieved 22, do you remember her name? Anybody?
No, I do not.
No,
but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she came in and did a really good job, shut us down. And they really were the better team on Saturday. They were. And credit to the Cajuns. They come back, run roll Omaha. The second time, I think Omaha was just out of pitching. I think they were just gassed. And being in that environment and that heat, somebody mentioned that coming from where they were, it was like 60 degrees. So I know that humidity can wear on teams that are not used to it. We went out there and did what we were supposed to do, and we looked like the team we're supposed to look like when we got to that regional. And then you come into Sunday, and that game was pretty intense. And we'll stop there. Jerry, your thoughts so far overall, and then we'll jump into game 1 of Sunday.
Thoughts as far as the Omaha game, or like the entire
overall regional thoughts, maybe some things that you saw today that were exciting, and then we'll talk about the 2 games after that and get a little bit more specific.
Yeah, Maddie Hayden catching the last out when we had more runs than them, meaning we won the regional, and getting to see our girls dogpile on their field. That was a blast. Seeing D'Angelo, his name's D'Angelo, by the way, the guy behind home plate, sit like this most of the time when they were losing. That was pretty funny. The second they come back, he's up there doing the dancing and all this other stuff. And then when they start trailing again, it's like this in the stands. The fight in these girls, we've always talked about that. We've always agreed that after that weekend in Clearwater, losing those close games, that somehow they'll get rewarded from that type of atmosphere and those type of close losses, how they'll learn from it. And if there's any weekend they learned from it, it was this weekend. I mean, you come in, you shut out Omaha, you beat them like you're supposed to. But then yesterday, the Tigers beat us. I mean, they got the best of us, shut us out 4-0. Got to hear a lot of trash talk from their fans. But unfortunately, you got to beat us twice instead of once in order to advance. And then today they came back, went up 1-0 in the first game. And then they gave up a 4-run inning thinking, okay, this is it. And what do? They fight back and score 6 unanswered runs to force a game 7. And of course, I mean, what better way to end this series than go up 6-0 and then you give up 8 runs and then you claw your way back and win again. That's why it's so important to schedule non-conference tournaments like in Clearwater, because when you play elite teams like that, and even if you lose close games, it always comes back to reward you later in the year because you're able to overcome that type of adversity. I thought that weekend in Clearwater really, really helped us. And of course, throughout the season in conference, losing some of those close games that we did, like to Troy, I thought that this team learned how to handle adversity, and that's what they did this weekend. So, I mean, man, you can see on Twitter the shade that's being thrown right now. It's it's a lot of fun, but it just, one thing I've learned is you can't really trash talk until the game's over, because we heard a lot of flack yesterday. We caught a lot of flack from that fan base, and then today, all of a sudden, we get the last laugh. So just proud of the girls, man. Just proud of the girls and the way they fought. Most teams would have folded going down 8-6. This team didn't, and they did it in the very last inning when it was crunch time. They stepped up and got it done. So happy for Coach Glasgow. He finally gets that monkey off his back. He's going to a super regional as head coach. First super regional since 2016. Congratulations to the coaching staff. Job well done. And congratulations to these girls. Well deserved, and way to represent this university. We always talk about we have a blue collar mentality here. If there's any day they showed blue collar mentality, it was today, to be able to do what they did and grind their way into not only 1 win, but 2 against, as we call them, the school across the basin. I mean, we ended their season. I mean, that's, and I'm not saying that to trash talk, but you did it. You did it coming back from a loser's bracket, and you went to their place, and we were the ones dogpiling at the end. So I just can't be happier for these girls. And now, Magnice, you had one job. You had one job and you blew it. So look, I think the girls have a little fight in them to go to Seattle. One thing that Magnice has shown us is that Washington is very beatable. So I look forward to talking about that, but just proud of this team, man. What a win. What a win. It's good to be back in the super regionals where we belong. And we should have hosted.
Well, now
It
they
ain't
made
crucial.
that. They made that clear.
They
The
made that
games
clear.
have
Sure,
they
that
should
was
have been in Lafayette. So that's
doubt.
a big thing of why I'm so excited about this win. It showed that we belonged. It showed that we deserve the host site. I'm happy for girls like Megan, who was so upset about how that all went down. I'm happy for people like Maddie Hayden, who were fierce competitors that took it personally. Lex went out there and had she had a great regional left. She came down the season, not in a slump, but really not hitting the ways that she can hit. Look at Jourdyn Campbell, who didn't even start for the first couple of games, and she comes in and basically single-handedly beat that team. I mean, you can make an argument that Jourdyn Campbell beat TSAB by herself. Now, obviously,
Jourdyn
that's a little bit
Campbell-
of hyperbole, but
So,
ahead.
look, I'm gonna hat tip to Southern Miss fans, and we're gonna talk about this as time goes on. But Jourdyn Campbell is our version of Danny Lynch. I mean, she really is. I mean, what
Don't
she
mention
did.
that name here.
I'm
ever
sorry. I'm
again.
sorry, but look, today kind of. I know it's two different sports. I'm crossing sports here, but look at what she did in one day. She was able to open up the floodgates for the first game with the 3-run homer, which totally turned the tide of that game, giving us, breathing room for game 2. And then all of a sudden, she hits that grand slam. I mean, yes, they made a comeback, but that 6-0 lead, that cushion gave us enough room to even make a comeback. It made their chances a lot more difficult by having to grind and score, 8 unanswered runs, but we're only down 2 because of that grand slam. So, to me, Jourdyn Campbell is MVP of the day. There's no question. She earned it. And
but look, truth of the matter is,
unbelievable.
the team across the basin has a solid club. Obviously, they wouldn't be hosting as a number 10 if they weren't. So you had to expect at some point they would make a run back at us. And the question was not if they were going to do that. The question was if we were going to respond. And the way we responded and the timing of our response and the way we responded was just epic, man. That was just something that you feel like we go there in baseball a lot, and we have in regional play in baseball, and they always say, I mean, even if we get to the winner's bracket undefeated, they seem to always have something crazy that pulls off a win. I think one year we hit a home run, then they came back and hit a 2-run homer to beat us. And you always felt like they always had some bag of tricks somewhere that they would come back and take it from you. This year they couldn't do that, and that's what feels like you get the monkey off your back when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it was satisfying, especially like you said, Josh, the trash talking we had to endure for days and weeks and months, and it was nice,
which makes it more fun, and I'm absolutely here for it. But I got to tell you, when they come in on a regional final, game 2 Sunday, and they score 8 unanswered runs, and that Tiger Park is rocking, y'all. You got to level with me here. Everybody was thinking, not this again. Not this again.
I turned off the game 4 times. Now, only for like 2 minutes at a time, because as soon as I turned it off, I came back and I put it back on. But yeah, I felt like here we go again, man. We're so close.
CDS is
real. I wanted to mention Carly Heath's home run in the 6th.
It was a 6th.
No, it was the 6th. Her home run. I know that it's a solo home run, but LSU had TSAB had all of the momentum at that point. And for her to get one back right there, it almost it felt like a grand slam. I know that's a little bit over the top, but just to get back, I mean, it was a 2-run deficit. You got one back. One run, you're like, we can scratch out a run. If we can get Maya on, we can steal her to third. We can put a ball in play in the infield and get them around. We have the speed and athleticism to do that. So one run didn't seem like all that big of a deal to me. And I thought that Carly Heath's home run was gigantic. And then, of course, Lex's catch in the 7th, the layout catch and foul terrible. I mean, how many great defensive plays. Now, I know we made plenty of errors and we had some mental miscues. And I even said it to a point where it looked like they were kind of out of gas for a minute. And I really regret that comment, because they showed me that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because they roared back. But Lex's defensive play right there, and I know it's a big out, but the way that it was almost deflating in the park, you can almost feel that.
Yeah, well, and you almost felt it. I'm sorry, Jerry, but you almost felt like that was like something big had to happen for us, not for them, for us. If we made a big defensive stop or something that would take that little bit of momentum they had away from them, because they were getting a little bit, they had somebody on first and all this. You felt like they had a little bit of momentum. We took it from them. That was it. And you felt like after that happened, we got this. And, That's
what
what
made that
happened.
so special to me, especially for Lex, was that she made an error, a crucial error in the second inning, which kind of started that comeback wave. For Louisiana State, as we call them. And when she made that error, I kept thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, I hope Lex can make up for that some kind of way." Because if she doesn't botch that I think it was Lex that botched that ground ball. I don't think they score the 4 or 5 runs that they did. Actually, we're out of the inning. And
It should
so
have been 3 up, 3 down. 2
it
errors
should
were
have been
made.
3 up, 3 down.
Yeah.
And they hung 6 on us. And then for her to do that at such a crucial time in the bottom of the 7th, I felt like she redeemed herself with that. And plus, I mean, even in the first game, she hit that home run, which was kind of similar to what Carly Heath did in the second game, which kind of halted that momentum. So, for Lex to redeem herself like that was huge. And how about a shout out? I also have to give a shout out to just, every single player playing her role today. I felt like, even having to pin, whether it was a pinch hitter, a pitcher coming in, every girl played her role today in getting those wins. That was huge. And they didn't let, as Tony Robichaux used to say, when you play at an intense environment like that, you don't let that adrenaline and that energy get to you. And I felt like the girls didn't do that. There were some moments where they did, but overall they were able to kind of halt in that opposition of momentum. And so, yeah, it was great overall. Just great.
I love the way that they got a second win in the latter 2 innings of that game. They just got a second win and roared back. It was like the final uppercut in a long boxing match. It really was. I mean, 2 really good teams.
Let's go back to the first game because I got to talk about that foul ball. That was a foul ball. I posted a slow-mo video capture of that ball that she hit that she, later screamed at both umpires about. That was clearly a foul ball.
Clearly.
And if any TSAB fans are watching and would like further confirmation, happy to send you that video. I already posted it on Twitter. There was no reason for her to be yelling at umpires during a game. It should have been tossed the first time she did it. But anyway,
let's not forget we lost a regional because of a phantom foul ball.
Correct.
So I don't want to hear a tIgGahS fan say anything about calls going their way. Listen, this is a new age with review, and there's some awareness out there that they've gotten calls in the past. I don't want to hear anything about a call. They got the calls right for the most part. We made the plays that we needed to, and I don't want to hear anything from a fan. I don't want to hear
2 points.
It was called properly.
2 points I want to make. Number one, in 2017, we had a foul ball that was a home run, and that would have basically won us the regional. In 18, we had that call at the plate, which should have been out, and they called safe, which again cost us a regional, both in Baton Rouge. The second thing I wanted to mention, 2 pitches before that Sam threw to Georgia Clark on a strike 2 count was a perfect changeup over the plate, and the umpire stared at it. So when they want to complain, my reaction is the game should have been over by then. How do you miss a perfect changeup over the plate on a strike 3 count? Because when the ball landed, when it dropped over, it was over Georgia Clark's knees. Like it was higher than her knees. That should have been a strike. Even Sam was smiling in the circle after that, and I knew I had a bad feeling when the ump didn't call that. I said, Georgia Clark's going to do something with this.
You give somebody a good hitter a second chance, they're going to take advantage of it.
Right when she turned it too, man, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then I saw one of our Cajun, shout out to whoever the Cajun fan was out in the berm doing this, like saying that it was foul. So, and then I want to say, if you look at their message boards, I saw some lady in purple and gold. They were like, oh, she should have sold it. There was a fan out there in purple and gold that kind of reacted to the ball being foul, which kind of gave it away. Like, oh man, it was so close. So thank you to that fan as well for not acting as if it was a home run, even though it wasn't.
The years of going over there and getting screwed, we were due some breaks. And I got to tell you now, I mean, being honest, we've probably followed softball more this year, maybe last year, than years prior. We usually get involved in the postseason and in the latter parts of the season. When Campbell's ball hit that foul post, I've never been more excited as a softball fan. I mean, that was, you needed that so badly at that point. I mean, it was just the explosion in the dugout. Cody Juneau, I thought he had a stroke on the air, and we just completely lost it. That was a really exciting really great moment. And I can't imagine how she felt at the time, but God, what a regional she had. You guys mentioned Lex earlier. We were talking about her defense and everything. She had several quality at-bats, and I thought that was a big surprise and a big lift for the offense. She worked a couple of walks that she took pitchers deep into counts, a couple of missiles that were hit right at people, of course, the home run. And there were several times where we needed a big at-bat out of her, and she delivered. So shout out to Lex. Penguin power, baby. We needed it. And so many. Sissy Vasquez, great defense at second base, all regional long. I know she had a miscue today, but great. Sam came in relief in game 1 against TSAB and was, locked down. What can you say about how she ended that game? Sophie with a couple of gigantic hits, and she played it hurt down the stretch. Something about her wrist, I think. I'm trying to go around the diamond, and I'm thinking about all the different performances and all the different moments. But overall, that's a lot of fun.
How about Chloe, man? She 3 solid innings. Didn't give up any hits, I don't think. Yeah.
How about
no
your
hits,
freshman
no
coming down and shutting down a good offense?
Yo, that's impressive. Especially after everything, back and forth. She really gave us the opportunity to win towards the end. So that was clutch.
Hey, real quickly before we go any further, if you guys are in the space, there's a bunch tonight. If you have any comments or any questions you want to get on the air, please let us know. We'll get you in. Also want to say Adopt a Dog Brewery right now, this moment, is hosting a post-game party for the staff and the players. They are all getting there. They should have been arriving about 10 minutes ago. So they just opened up. Ryan's not going to close ADB tonight. They're going to have fun into the night. As soon as we're done here, Rage and Review boys will be headed that way. So I just want to give everybody some...
it might take me a little bit to get there, but see y'all in about 4 hours.
Nick will be late. Jerry and I are going to go over there and say hello and give some congrats and celebrate a regional championship win. But if anybody can make it and you don't have anything going on, please join. It's going to be a good time. But overall, if we can get back into the fan base, this, that, and the other. I don't tiptoe around this fan base. So we try to go out of our way to be somewhat cordial to other fan bases, like Southern Miss, of course. There's respect there. Coastal's like, they don't matter, so we can be disrespectful and then nobody will hear it. But just having to deal with these people for the last couple of weeks, like you said earlier about the fans, D'Angelo, whatever, those are the kind of people that attach themselves to that program. Has that guy been doing that for a long period of time?
He's done it before. I know. I've seen him whenever we play them, and he does that. Look, there was a guy in basketball who did it when we played in the NIT at TSAB, and he was one of our fans. And I was embarrassed by the fact that we had this guy doing it, so it was dumb. You don't be a fan, be loud, be rowdy, whatever, but do it as a fan and not as a jerk.
Just don't be obnoxious, man.
That guy's just being obnoxious. It's all about him. People like that make it about themselves.
Correct.
And when you're a grown-ass man yelling stuff at college-age women, come on, dude.
Dude, I don't know
you
if
don't
you
have something better to do on a Sunday afternoon than that. That's what you got with your wrestling belt behind
the
home
wrestling
plate.
belt. That did it for me. The Flavor Flav thing, the piece and chain.
Man.
And then they had, I don't know if you heard the broadcast, but Cody and Bobby had, I don't know where they were set up. I guess the windows were open and they were in the little press box. They had people sitting very close to them, and you could hear everything. And like profanity on the air, and I don't know if they could hear it, but we could certainly hear
it.
They had this one lady from like Denham Springs, because of I'm guessing because of the accent, absolutely, just destroying the home plate umpire, and BS this and you suck that, and just berating this guy.
To be honest, if you saw a pan out of and Southern Miss fans will tell you I'm a attendance person, because apparently that's my focus. But if you saw when they would pan out, that wasn't a full stadium. That was probably like 60% full, and like 40% were like, it was 40% their fans and the rest our. I don't know. It was a weird mix, but I'm sure you could hear somebody there because there weren't a whole lot of people. Now, they were loud on TV, but I was a little bit disappointed. I thought it would be a packed house, sold out, like you couldn't get a seat, and that was not the case.
I'm the same. I was very surprised. And then what was going on with the field? I mean, they got holes in the
Poverty
outfield.
program.
You want to talk about a poverty program? Fix your
Kidding me?
field. You're hosting a freaking regional. Let's get it together over there. What y'all doing over there?
Wait. Even better. some guy on Twitter, when I took a picture of the field and the part that was dug up, and credit Sherilyn's daughter. She shared that on Facebook, so I stole it from her. But when I posted that picture, one of the TSAB fans goes, "I don't know what you're looking at. That's just a marker for outfielders." I don't know if the dude was serious or not. I am going to believe that he wasn't serious because I'm hoping that somebody's not that ignorant. But he really said, "Bruh, that's a marker for where they're supposed to stand."
Dude, at one point, the left fielder grabs a handful of dirt like she's building a sandcastle and throws it over the fence.
My friend Amber was talking about ruts in her yard, and I'm like, "Oh, it's same thing at Tiger Stadium, apparently, or whatever they call it. Like, you need to go bring some of that dirt over there because apparently they can't figure that out either." That's a little bit embarrassing. But
it was embarrassing. She's cussing the whole time. She's having to shovel out the messed up sod and everything. It was hilarious.
Well, I think you learn something new every day if that's the case. So apparently, in order to mark your point in the outfield, you have to dig a moat. I think, right? You have to dig a moat into the grass to mark your spot in the outfield. Is that the fun fact of the day? You learn something new every day. I guess I don't know.
We'll have to ask Glasgow where the outfield markers are at Lamson because I'm not familiar. I don't think I've seen those.
Well, I thought it was pretty funny that, you talk about attendance, and again, our fans couldn't even get tickets to sit in the grandstand because we were told they were sold out. And every time we tried calling, or our fans tried calling their ticket office, "Oh, we're sold out, or we're limited on tickets. You have to get walk-ups or just go sit in the berm." Well, all of our fans are literally packed. Like, it's all red in the berm, and then you go look at the yellow seats, and there's a lot of yellow spots because it's like
they were calling it the red berm.
Spotty. Yeah.
Shout out to Dean. He says Glasgow needs to show future recruits pictures of TSAB's regional attendance compared to our SBC tourney final. And that is a fantastic point.
And their field. Right. If you hey, where you want to play?
Poverty softball field.
Our fields don't have moats. Sorry.
All that money, man. $100 million in revenue, supposedly. And
do y'all feel bad
in the outfield?
Do you feel bad for their athletes just a little bit?
No.
I don't either.
No.
Mm-mm.
There's a couple of competitors.
There's
a couple of competitors on that team that I have respect for because of the way they play. But there's a bunch of them that I don't have any respect for, especially when you're rounding second base and you're pointing and saying stuff to umpires.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Named from a state or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a problem. I have a problem, not necessarily players, because I actually know a few softball players that played there, but even the fact that our softball program has the resources necessary to compete with the best, as we've seen, they're still given a lot more resources than we have. And yet we have to grind. We have to go over there, and it's not necessarily like, because we have a beautiful stadium, we have beautiful facilities, we have a great fan base, but just being a mid-major, we talked about this last week, not getting a host spot, for example. Oh, but you're 2-10 or whatever it is against the top 25. Well, you went to their place and you won back-to-back, which shows you basically showed the country today that you're worthy of hosting, and you should have hosted. But now, because of that, there's if we don't get, look, put it to you like this, right? Prime example. Let's say we get the 15 seed and we host. Well, guess what? UCLA was the 2 seed. They lost. They went 2 in a barbecue. So guess what? Just by default, if you host as a 15 seed, now you have a super regional coming to Lamson next weekend. Instead, and no thanks to Magnice, we have to fly to Seattle.
That's not 100% for sure yet, because there's some sort of a rule that if this is what I was here, this is what Cody Juno and Bobby were talking about. There is some kind of rule that you cannot host if you have an all turf infield. So that's to be seen.
Yeah, but
we don't know yet.
But Josh, they might just go find another softball park in Seattle and play it there.
They may, but
we
my point is that we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
We still have to go over there, like when we could have had it here if they would have been generous enough to give us the regional host that I think we deserved.
No, it's no question. We got hosed. I agree. Winning this weekend flat out says the committee got it wrong. Period. That's what it says. Kevin, we're going to go to you in just a second. We got a request from Kevin. Before we do that, I want to say one thing real quick. The ESPN commentators, I know that they're going to lean heavy P5. They're a host school, which is another reason why you want to host, by the way, to your point, Jerry. It was so over the top LSU, man. It was just Gross. Anyway, when Georgia Clark got thrown, one of the female commentator made a comment about if this was a male, it would have never happened. She wouldn't have been thrown out.
Wrong.
What an incredibly ridiculous thing to assert. First of all, who thinks something like that, let alone says it on national television? There's been a million different people send us examples from Major League Baseball and everything from people getting thrown because of ump shows and all this stuff. The umpires actually showed restraint by not throwing her out in the first game, and she got herself thrown out because you cannot behave that way. I don't care if it's male, female, college, amateur, professional. It doesn't matter. And I just thought that was disgraceful. So before we go any further, let's comment on that.
She pointed at him.
And then
she
Kevin
pointed at him.
Kevin, we'll go to you in just a minute after we make our comments.
Well, we talked to Rory after the game. He pointed out this wasn't the first time she's done that. She has done this before. And going to the point of, oh, well, if it was a female, they wouldn't have gotten thrown out. And then she said something about, well, did she get a warning the first time? What does it matter? Well, she
said you can't throw a player out in that moment.
No,
well, in that moment, how about you recognize the moment and not mouth off to an umpire?
Right. And look, we were screwed on several ball strike calls the entire game. Trust me, that zone would mysteriously get a lot tighter when Sam was on the mound. So, to insinuate that a woman gets thrown out but a male wouldn't, that only hurts what we're trying to push with women's softball is that, if you want to be on the same level, then you got to be treated at the same level. And don't come up with this BS that, oh, a male would. You're just hurting what we're trying to accomplish. That was not a good comment. And credit to the guy who was the play-by-play guy, because he tried to be like, well, you remember that earlier in the game, like when that happened, probably. And she went all in. I mean, she went all in on that comment, which I thought was dumb. If
unprofessional is the word I would use.
No other way. And look, Josh, you and I and Jerry, we're girl power all the way. Like, we want to push that sport as far as we can. Rory does. We all do. We want to support the women on the team, but you're only hurting your case to push that forward when you make comments like that. So I thought that was just counterproductive.
There's a lot of examples in Major League Baseball. And I mean, you can go on YouTube and search ejections where all the player does is say, what do you mean that was a strike on a strike 3 count? And the umpire throws them out. So this idea that, that there's some type of sexist agenda because Georgia Clark got thrown out. Again, the first time she mouthed off to the umpire, she not only said something to him, but as she's rounding the bases, she pointed at him. Any Major League Baseball, college softball, pro softball, if you point at an umpire, I'm pretty sure there's a 90 to 99% chance that you're going to get thrown out if you gesture at an umpire and mouth off to him. Let's be honest.
But Jerry, she didn't get a warning according to this person she didn't get how do you know she didn't get a warning? They may have walked to the dugout in the middle of the inning and said, hey, by the way, warning. There's your first warning. How do you know that?
Right. That's ridiculous. I mean, look, Georgia Clark did that to herself. There's no denying. She did it to herself. She pointed at the umpire the first time. She mouthed off to him the second time. She's done it before in games in the past before, whether it's playing us or playing other teams, sometimes it comes back to haunt you, right?
Reasonable people can agree that was ridiculous. Mr. Kevin Dore, longtime follower, first time commenter, I believe. Please take the floor, sir. It is yours.
Well, good evening, gentlemen.
Kevin!
First of all, to comment on what you said just now, that the ESPN broadcast, and it's always like this. It is so biased towards not just LSU, but SEC or Power 5 schools. It's so hard to watch sometimes. They completely they're so biased with everything. Like you said, with the sexist comment or whatever. But even after the game, I noticed their voices, the tone in their voice changed completely.
Oh, she was devastated. She was devastated.
Yeah, exactly. During the ejection, well, it was before the ejection. I think it was in the second inning when the girl that got ejected hit the home run. Was it just me, or was she flipping somebody off behind the plate?
So I did go back and look. It looked a little bit like she was, but she was actually doing this. And I don't know what that meant, but the way she did it, it looked like she was flipping somebody out. But as much as I dislike the way she acted, I don't think she did. But I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I didn't go back to see, but I wasn't sure if she was pointing or flipping someone off. But her whole body language and her whole demeanor through the game was just classless. But to get on to say what I wanted to say, first of all, I kind of want to get into the whole TSAB thing. But firstly and foremost, congratulations to those girls. They went out there and took what was theirs, and I kind of said that this morning. They had a bit of a tough road getting there, but they deserve what they deserve. They deserve to win this regional, and they did deserve the home super regional. Unfortunately, that wasn't in their hands at that point. UL is now 4-6, 4 wins and 6 losses. 4-2 against LSU this season in sports. 1-0 in baseball, and now 3-2 against softball. Now, this is for all the Cajun fans that take crap from LSU people every day. I shouldn't say LSU. I know you guys don't like that either. But I live in Patterson. Now that's St. Mary Parish. That's Tiger country.
God bless you.
Yeah. So all of my friends, everyone I went to school with here in high school, they all despise UL, and they're all huge Tiger fans. So I get a lot of crap from them, but guess what? This goes for everyone listening that's a huge Cajuns fan or alumni or whatever it may be. Don't take it from them. We don't have to, because right now, athletically, we're owning them. Last year or the last few years in baseball, we're what? We were 3-2 or 4-2 against.
Yeah,
them?
but that's our World Series, man. All right, that's the biggest game of our whole season. Are you kidding me?
Did you not go to the parade, Kevin? Did you not go to the parade?
No. Unfortunately, I missed the parade, but I did buy a shirt. I did buy a shirt.
Well, Kevin, I got a little trivia for you, buddy. So you went to Patterson High School?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, Jerry, he did.
Can you hear me?
I think Jerry's having a stroke right now.
Yeah, sure. Jerry's frozen in time.
Check on him.
Yeah,
well, until he gets back.
Are you there, Jerry? Can you hear now? Yeah, Jerry.
You're muted.
He's got that boomer internet again.
The boomer internet's acting up. But look, Kevin, I really appreciate you. We have other people that want to comment, but 100% right on your comment. Don't take it. That's kind of what Raging Review's here for, is to kind of have a platform for people to say, hey, look, we're out there, we're proud, we're fans, we're supporters. Yeah, you don't have to put up with that stuff. You don't have to put up with it.
I do have a comment. Sorry about that, Kevin. So I know Patterson is lumberjack country, and I know people take pride in their football down there. You can remind your LSU friends or TSAB friends that the head football coach for the Patterson Lumberjacks is a former UL assistant coach, FYI. So
yes, sir.
They're going to have, look, they're going to have no choice but to show some love.
Actually.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Kevin.
Lockhart and
Zach.
Kramer.
Yep. Zach and Garrett, both of them, back-to-back former UL assistant coaches. So if they love the Lumberjacks, right, they got to show the Cajuns some love too, because two former Cajuns ran their football programs back-to-back.
Yep.
That's right.
Kevin, we appreciate your support, sir. Appreciate your comments, and thanks for following.
Thank you.
Jerry, you know the weirdest stuff, man.
It's true.
Yeah, well, actually, first of all, I know Zach. Zach's the head coach of Bro Bridge now, but I also know Garrett. I ran into him at Rhythms on the River, and I'm like, how you doing now, man? He's like, well, I coach football. Oh, what? Really? Where at? Patterson. Oh, what do you coach? I'm the head football coach. Oh, all right, cool. So that's how I know. Random
Mr.
stuff, but,
Cajun Tuba, welcome back to the show, sir. The floor is yours.
It's going back to the female commentator for the game. I don't know if y'all remember her, but she was one of the color commentators for the Sun Belt tournament a few years ago, and she's also the color commentator at UCF whenever we played them. So I don't know where this P5 bias is coming from, but she was incredibly out of line today.
Agree. Maybe she's trying to work her way up the ladder by being, showing more favoritism toward the people that put the event on. I don't know. Were they on site this time, or were they in New Orleans again?
They were in New Orleans, I believe, this year. But she wasn't the commentator this year. It was some other chick. I forgot what her name was. But
Yeah, I don't remember her, so that's good. That's a good memory. What was her name?
Francesca, I think she played at Florida. But I mean, she's been at UCF, and oh well, she was she's a loser today. That's for sure.
Agree. Any comments on the game, sir?
Man, that was a hell of a game. I was texting my buddy Bryce, and I said it's about time we got the luck on our side. We always have bad bounces go against us, and the other team always gets lucky. But man, it was incredible to see it finally go our way this time.
Man, when that ball bounced off the foul pole, how fun was that?
Shit, I lost my mind. I was at some friend's house, so I couldn't go hooting and hollering, but I sure was when I got back home. I'm going to have to apologize to my neighbor tomorrow. Anyway, y'all have a good night, and McNeese sucks balls.
Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Juju, I saw that you requested. Go ahead and do it again, and I'll get you back on.
Speaking of people who couldn't yell in public places, our boy Super John was in Destin watching at some restaurant or bar, and he said he after we won the game, he made a little bit of a scene in the restaurant. I don't know if he got kicked out or not, but hopefully the Destin PD didn't have to go pick him up.
Oh man, you don't want to mess with them.
No, they're strict. We did that on the beach one time. Remember when Trosclair hit that grand slam in the Sun Belt tournament in 15? My buddy and I are on the beach. We're down in Miramar, and we're like listening on my phone. And then when Jay talks about it being a granny, we start screaming out of nowhere, and everybody's kind of turning and looking at us like we're nuts. And yeah, I definitely understand the awkward reactions in Destin that sometimes you'll get when you're listening to a game that has totally no relevancy to many people there.
Any comments are welcome. So if anybody has thoughts or questions, please request them. We'll get you on. A few more minutes. If nobody else has comments, I'm gonna head on over to get a West Coast IPA with the team and I think Doc is gonna be there with some of the staff members.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it too.
I'll make Jerry come with me so we can rub elbows and they can like us again. Maybe we
That's
can get
right.
some interviews or something like that. Yeah, I see. Is that, let's see, William Beckham. Any comments about the guy behind the plate? We dealt with that a little bit earlier. If you guys want to go in even more, I mean, I think we made our point. If we had a fan like that, I would say, hey, as long as your passion is classy, and I don't really know how you would put guide rails on that, but as long as you're not being obnoxious, as long as you're not affecting the game as far as trying to disrupt the pitcher or distract the pitcher or climbing up on top of things that you're not supposed to climb on top of, as long as you're not doing that, great. Knock yourself out. We have great fans here. We have great fans at Lamson and, I mean, beyond. I think our fans are up there, and I know that we're biased, but as far as I'm concerned, for the number that we have, I think we have some of the best, if not the best, fan base in softball in the country, especially in Lamson. On the road is a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but in Lamson, it's just a different vibe.
Shoot, I thought I had forgotten about the guy. I thought he was talking about the umpire. The umpire was a little sketch. That's why I thought it was him. But I will talk about that umpire. I thought his zone was kind of, look, when Sam or Kander or whoever was pitching in game 2, that low strike wasn't called, and man, there were some pitches right down the middle that just somehow missed somewhere. Somehow they got most of the calls. Now, I know our girl Georgia got a little pissed off at one of the pitches that wasn't called was called a strike against her. But that did get her tossed, so I was okay with that.
Yeah, softball strike zone they're so all over the place most of the time. I mean, even when you think it's a perfect strike, they just look at it, and then sometimes they'll throw one on the outside and they'll call it a strike. I've always thought softball strike zones were very mysterious because it felt like there was more. There's more, like, I feel like the umpires are more subjective in their strike zones than in baseball. Baseball, yes, you have some terrible calls, but you still kind of have an idea of what the umpire is calling. In softball, you just don't. You may throw a pitch right down the middle, they'll call a ball, and then you throw something towards the dirt and they'll call a strike, and they do that little thing, and you're like, wait a minute, what are you looking at that we don't see? So maybe it's at the angle at which the pitch is thrown underhand. I don't know, but strike zones in softball are just, to me, they're a total mystery most of the time.
I agree 100%. I was thinking the same thing. And again, we've watched a lot more. Well, I personally have watched a lot more softball these last few years And it's striking how different a strike zone can be from game to game in the same damn tournament. I mean, in baseball, you have some movement, but typically it's, somewhat the same. Not in softball at all. Andrew Thomas is asking more about the infield turf rule and hosting. As far as I know, and I don't know the rule, and I don't know where you would be able to find it, but Cody Juneau and Bobby Naveau were talking about the fact that even if McNeese couldn't win the tournament, that there was some kind of rule about this turf, infield turf, and not being able to host a tournament of any kind in the NCAA postseason. So, no idea. Maybe if sometimes Bobby will listen in, and he's probably at Adopt a Dog right now with the girls. So, I'm trying to see anybody else in the space that might know. If anybody in the space knows about this or heard them talking about it, please chime in and give some clarity because I only caught the tail end of the conversation. But I have no idea what's going to happen with Washington. I don't know if they're going to be able to find a place to play. I'm sure they could. I mean, it is a Seattle area, right? So I'm sure that there's a field that will be available to them. If not, Lampson's empty, so we could do it here. Sure, we'd be fine hosting it. But if we find out any more information on it, we'll post it on the Rage and Review Twitter account. Let's see, I got a message here. Again, if anybody has any comments, please feel free. We'll get you in to speak about winning a regional championship. We'll see.
I just wonder if a lot of the TSAB fans are going to be able to go to work tomorrow because they all know how hard it is to have to deal with Cajun fans talking trash. Remember after we beat them in baseball, that one guy which set off Durant.
Somebody go check on Scarborough.
I live in Lafayette. I hate losing to ULL fans. They are the absolute worst. I can't go to work because I just can't handle the criticism. I can't.
We take all this state money, man. All the state money just to beat LSU. What?
I can't handle the heat. I'm going to have to call in sick to work tomorrow. We're
going to have to post a video. It's going to be a lot of vacation hours taken on Monday tomorrow.
Hours because we mooch off the state. Apparently, we don't write our own checks, people.
Ryan's asking why would the Huskies be able to host a regional, not a super? I don't know, man. I'm just telling you what they were talking about on the radio. Maybe it wasn't just a postseason NCAA rule. Maybe it was just for a super. Maybe that was the rule. I'm not 100% sure. But Landry, you need to go to Adopt a Dog if you're in town so we can celebrate with the gals.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing that in just a few moments. Is anybody else in the space looking to make a comment, please go ahead and request now. We'll get you on. We do this for you guys. If you want to hoot and holler for 2 seconds, that's fine too. Really doesn't matter what you need to say. Get in. We'll get you in. Get you on. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just proud of the girls. I'm happy. I just don't want to have to listen to their idiocy on the other side of the basin. So now we're free and clear for a while. We don't have to put up with it. We can post scoreboard and we can post, results and everything. That's fun. It's always a conversation ender. So we don't have to fool with that. But also, I have said from probably middle of the season, this was the most complete team that we've had in a while. Now, I know today was a wild game. I know a lot of things went wrong. We walked people. We made errors. But at the end of the day, we made the plays to win the game. And I think that because we were a complete team, because we could go from Sam to Kendra to Megan to Carly Heath and to the freshmen. I mean, that's five pitchers that got meaningful innings. And I can't tell you that I don't know if we've ever had that here. So, no, maybe we didn't have a Bricknack or a Bourgeois, like we had in the past, but we had 5 solid options to eat innings and get the job done when we needed it most. And that's something to be proud of. A complete team can compete and go to Oklahoma City. And there's a lot of great softball teams left in this tournament. I understand that. But what's in front of us is not an insurmountable task. I mean, what's in front is something that we can handle.
And to add to that, Josh, a complete team can win on a day that's not a perfect day for them. That by all means, today was not a good day. There were so many lapses, mental lapses, but in the end, they still were able to beat the number 10 seeded team in the country twice in one day. So you got to feel good going into Washington. Now, again, it's going to be a challenge. And I don't know a whole lot about Washington, but I did see McNeese tee off on them today. So fingers crossed, man, that they can take it up there and get a couple of dubs and make it to Oklahoma City again.
The goal here is to go to Oklahoma City. It's been 9 years. We recruit to it. We build facilities for it. We have a fan base for it. Our fans donate money for it. that's our ultimate goal, is to go to Oklahoma City, and we're 2 wins away. We got through the first step, which is get to Baton Rouge, win that regional, come out of the losers bracket and do it. But now you go travel thousands of miles to Seattle, and now you have to take 2 out of 3 against the Huskies. They're a good team. They've shown a little vulnerability this weekend against McNeese. I mean, really, we should be talking about a super regional coming to Lamson next weekend, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. But from what I saw this weekend, they're beatable. So if we can do what we did today out of the losers bracket, we can definitely go to Washington and do what we have to do to get to Oklahoma City, because again, that's our ultimate goal. We're 2 wins away, 2 wins away. And I think this team, these girls have 2 wins in them to get back to Oklahoma City, where we have a history. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great to be back in the super regional.
It is. And I'm glad for Glasgow to get the regional Glasgow thing off of his back. And I know he gave himself the name, so it's a little bit of a fun thing there, but I'm just glad for him. This team has gotten so much better since Clearwater. We've said that a bunch of times. Also, it goes without saying, but you got to mention Justin Robichaux's impact on his pitching staff and his team. We mentioned the 5 pitchers and the 5 contributors and all the things that they've been able to accomplish. How did Tony Robichaux win? He pitched, played defense. This team is slowly turning into that footprint, or, you can see Justin's fingerprints all over it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They're pitching, they're playing defense. Now, I know today was wild. I don't expect it to be like that against Washington. Wherever we play, whatever happens with that, I think our pitching staff is going to step up like they did all season. I think our defense is going to settle themselves. Can't imagine the emotion, can't imagine the anger, feeling like you got the regional snatched out from under you. I can't imagine all the things they were dealing with. To get over this, I think there's probably going to be somewhat of a calming effect going, or them coming, however it works out. Playing Washington, they're not TSAB, they're somebody else, they're a foreign foe. You got to refocus, and you got to just go out and play your game. I think that benefits us in a big, big way.
And they're not a rival. Like, they're going to be a rival next weekend, but when you're in a rivalry game, there's so much more than just stats and advantages and disadvantages. There's a lot going into it emotionally that takes a toll on you. So I think this might be, I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy super. Don't get me wrong. It won't be. I know it's going to be a challenge, but you don't have that extra thing kind of weighing on you. And Tim chiming in about chatter that they're calling for the head coach to be canned. Jerry and I heard from, again, a reliable source before we came on here that is highly likely, and the Cajuns may have gotten the TSAB coach fired, but we'll see what happens.
Now that would be a nice cherry on top of this whole thing.
But look, I have respect for her. I think she's a great coach, great person. I have nothing against Beth Torina. I think she's a good coach. It would just be unfortunate that somebody who's had her success gets fired because they lost to us.
How dare you?
What is it? I think she's been to 7 Women's College World Series in 12 years. And I want to say 4 of those times that she didn't go is because the Cajuns eliminated her.
How dare you?
How dare you? Honestly, good luck.
Lose to ULL. You're fired. Losing to ULL. How could you lose to ULL? Ooh la la like that.
I'm telling you, man.
Explain yourself.
Yeah, they're
that's what they're going to say. It's not
100%.
because they lost. It's not because they got bounced out of the regional. It's because it's to us. It's, that's not supposed to happen. How can you lose to little brother like that?
Bet they aren't going to be talking about us on Colada's show tomorrow. Bet you going to be real quiet over there.
He's probably snooping in the space
He's
right
probably,
now.
Yeah.
Because his little content creator dude from Opelousas, all he does is watch what we do, and then he goes and hollers at Jordy on the show. That's been their content for the last 4 weeks.
Right. Is that the guy that went Raging Cajun Review?
The Raging Cajun Review, man.
Well, they're going to say, we're making a big deal out of softball and how they don't care about softball. Softball's not a big deal. It's only softball. And then they're going to talk about softball for like an hour. So
had they won,
it's just like women's basketball. Women's basketball didn't matter. Remember, it didn't
exactly.
matter.
All of a sudden, overnight, they're women's college basketball fans, and they've been doing it for 30 years, and they're the women's college basketball school. If they would have won today, we're softball powerhouses. You can't even compete. But now that they lost, we don't even care about softball.
Softball.
What a clown
I'm
show.
talking about softball.
What a clown show over there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for a fun regional championship celebration on Rage and Review post-game. Look forward to doing some more of these. If we can get to Oklahoma City, we'll do I mean, maybe we can do one after each game. We'll talk about that. We'll get more information on Washington and share it as much as we can through the week. But right now, Jerry and I are going to go enjoy a couple of brewskis with the team and celebrate this.
And I will go drink some Blanton's alone on the couch.
We'll live stream it for you. All right, everybody. Rate, review, subscribe. We'll be back for Track the Pack tomorrow or Tuesday. We'll figure it out. But until then, don't take no shit off of TSAB. Champions.